live. We're live. And we're live.
We're live.
Hi. Oh shit, that's my lap. Hi guys. Sorry, this turned into an OnlyFans very quickly. I'm in my car because I'm waiting outside my daughter's softball camp. Because that's what we moms do. But my friend Brian Karem, welcome. Brian, you're in Texas. We're going with sunglasses today because we're cousins and we're cool. Yeah, so you're in
Hides
Texas.
the lines under my eyes.
Bullshit, you don't have any lines under your eyes. But let's talk about, you're in Texas covering the flood, so let's start there.
Yeah, it's a interesting time. I got to tell you, the strangest encounter I had. Donald Trump was here over the weekend, and on Friday I think it was, and I was out among the line talking to his supporters, and there was a woman with this huge sign that said, "Love Donald Trump," and so I walked up to her and I said, So tell me, what do you think of so far? Do you think the federal government is doing a good job helping out with the floods? And she goes, no, it's horrible. I'm really upset. She goes, my cousin, she still can't find her daughter. And at the same time, she's called FEMA and can't get any answers on the phone, blah, 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 blah. And I go, well, the president just said that the federal government's doing a great job. And she goes, well, President Trump's right, whatever he says. And I was like, I had to walk away from that just flabbergasted. How in the hell could, it's not your personal experience that matters. It's what the president dictates to you. So I gave up at that point trying to make any sense of that. But there were plenty of people who were upset, not with although they said the coverage that the federal government had done in Kerrville was horrible. They were more upset with what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, so this is the strange, the darkest of times, the dumbest of times, because so much cognitive dissonance there. Like my Substack today is about the coal and about how there's my lap again. I'm just gonna hold my phone, friends, so you don't get any more cross shots. Sorry, nothing says hurricane. Flooding. Help like my shorts, my jean shorts. Sorry about that, friends. I'm going to hold my phone so that doesn't happen again. But like they will twist themselves into whatever kind of pretzels they have to. And even with the Epstein files, they're still not, it's still 2 + 2 = 5. It's like, it's either a talking unicorn from the planet Endor came down and took Pam Bondi's brain out of her head and replaced it with like a sentient cone, ice cream cone, or it's that the sexual predator, lifelong liar, criminal con man, and Epstein BFF 7 times flying Epstein BFF is covering up for his own actions. Like, they just can't get there.
Well, all I can tell you is 2 things can be true at once, and I think she is a simian puppet from the planet Andor, but that's another story. Look, the fact of the matter is that what's the MAGA crowd wanted very much to expose what they thought was the Democratic corruption inherent in the Epstein files, and of course there could be, and in fact, I'm sure there are. Jeffrey Epstein had plenty of dirt on a lot of people, and anyone from what was Michael Jackson and Bill Clinton, and I mean he made he made Puffy look like he was a Boy Scout. I was going to say a Catholic priest, but let's not go there. And so. So that was they thought this was expose the deep state, and they're right. And and the Democrats called the Republicans bluff on that today, asking for that stuff to be released, and it was voted down in Congress. Look, if there are Democrats or Republicans on his list and have been compromised, we as the electorate deserve to know. And I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. I care about transparency, and I care about the truth. But here's the thing that really bothers me about this whole thing is you got Pam Bondi coming out saying there really is no list. Although, all right, so first they said there was a list, then Bondi says there isn't a list, then Trump put out on Truth Social, there is a list, but the Democrats made it up.
Yeah.
It sounds an awful lot like what happened when they, raided Mar-a-Lago. There are no classified files. The FBI planted the classified files. these classified files are now not classified files because with a mind meld, I decided they weren't, and I do have them. So that's the
Yeah.
same type of bullshit. But the real scary part is when Pam Bondi came out and said there is no list, just evidence that this guy was a pedophile and had bad videos. And I'm going, okay, if I accept what you say is true, then I'm now even more upset with you because you had the possibility when you were a prosecutor in Florida to prosecute this man, and
Hmm.
you didn't do it. And now you're telling me the evidence is there. So all that tells me is that if you're rich enough and you're a decadent enough and you've got enough dirt on somebody, you're going to get away with it. So Pam Bondi's defense for there being no list is no defense at all. It's just an admission of guilt that she was complicit in covering up whatever it was that Jeff Epstein had done. So that's
Yeah.
even more frightening to me than the fact that Donald Trump could be on the list. Hell, we know he's on the list.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Nobody's surprised by that, but now again, to twist themselves into these pretzels, now they're saying actually Epstein wasn't a trafficker at all, that this was just like two lawyers who set him up. So they'll say that. Then of course, right? Then my favorite is Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly is out there saying there's only two options. Either this is the Trump administration covering up for a scandal, or Pam Bondi got over her skis and promised something she didn't have, and without consulting Donald Trump. And now Donald Trump has her back because he's a good guy like that. Like, okay, let's talk about fictional Trump. But like, whatever it is that they need to do, like you're right, it's just like the documents in his chandelier shitter. It's just like January 6th. How can the people who perpetrated the attack on January 6th both be deep state actors sent by Nancy Pelosi and freedom-loving patriots there just peacefully protesting? I mean, they're out of their fucking minds, and it's all doublespeak insanity. But the hardcore cult, they won't move.
Well, I think the hardcore cult. I hate I hate a history book to say that Jeffrey Epstein was finally the straw that broke the camel's back or united the United. Jeffrey Epstein is the great uniter of the United States. But
Yeah,
you got people on the left and the right going, wait a minute, I want the list. And so at the end of the
yeah,
day, you're really it's amazing. This is the one issue that has them all pissed off, and MAGA supporters as well. And the thing is, this isn't going away. This isn't like
mm,
calling for. I'm going to yank Rosie O'Donnell's, which he can't do. I'm going to yank her citizenship, and he can't do it. That was just deflection from this, and we're still talking about this a week later. And it's Donald Trump's. It's the Streisand effect. Don't look at that. Don't do it. And they're going, well, wait a minute. I wasn't going to look at it, but now that you're so vociferous about not looking at it, let's take a look at it. And that
yeah,
Truth Social post that he put out is longer than Jesus Christ. It read like a mini novel. It was a novella. And the
yeah,
Democrats and they should be doing this and don't. He's dead and this guy will never die and don't talk about Jeff Epstein. Well, Jesus, you mentioned him 6 times in a missive where you told us not to mention him. So that
yeah,
missive alone has people pissed off. But I say, and don't distract yourself from the even deeper issue. Donald Trump is cognitively challenged. He's nuts. He has lost it. This isn't the Donald Trump I covered in the first administration. The second administration, Donald Trump, like, Pimp Wars 2, the Pimp Strikes Back. I mean, Donald Trump is nuts. This he's just nuts, and he doesn't have it. I mean, he's
no,
either I mean, the missive that he put out on the other day, and when he was talking about Ukraine, made absolutely no sense. We have said, we're going to supply Ukraine. Well, that's not what is actually going on. Our
right,
European allies are going to supply Ukraine. And then
yep,
our European allies are going to buy more of our weapons, newer weapons. So
yep,
this is only a big win for what Raytheon and Boeing
yeah,
and all the other large defense contractors. And Donald Trump screwed that up. And they start talking about 17 Patriot missiles that are going to go here, but we don't have them. They're going to go there. And some will end up at a war site. What the hell is a war site? None of that quote made any sense. He's completely lost his mind. He is
Yeah.
befuddled. And it's frightening to me that, well, it's no one's going to call for the 25th because his cabinet, which looks more like a, a cupboard from the Beverly Hillbillies, but that, yeah, I mean, those people are so sycophantic in nature, they'll never call for his removal. And good Lord, who do you want replacing him? JD permanent eyeliner, I hump a sofa, Vance. I mean, there isn't a
JD's got
couch.
bigger tits than I do, and I'm a double D.
And he wears more
Man, I
eyeliner
now
than you
know
do.
why. Seriously, I know why he swims in a t-shirt now. No shame in his titty game. But I mean, it is watching some of those meetings, those dear leader meetings. I don't know if you saw the clips of Donald Trump musing about the ceilings in the cabinet room, but it was unhinged. It was absolutely unhinged where he was talking about painting them, gold leafing them. Should he gold leaf them? You can't find a paint that looks like real gold. And Marco Rubio, who forever is going to be the weathercockiest weathercock in the history of the universe, and Nikki Haley exists, by the way, is
Yeah.
sitting there not trying not to look fucking embarrassed as hell, but he signed up for this fucking reality show because he thinks like some
And that's it.
idiot said, yeah, he thinks they're going to carry his flag. He thinks the cult is going to carry a Marco Rubio flag into battle, and that they're not. They're not going to carry a Ted Cruz flag. They're not going to carry a Marco Rubio flag. They're not going to carry a Vault Floridamort, what's his face flag. What's his name? The bald guy gave him the finger bowl. Scott Rich Perry, whatever his name is, the Florida senator.
You've left one out. They're not gonna. They're not going to carry the Christie Garden gnome.
That's
flag
right.
either.
Jesus. No, and she thinks it too. I mean, my God, how many more animals does she have to sacrifice on the altar of MAGA to prove that, like, she's heartless and depraved as much as he is? Like, they're all so fucking twisted. And you're
Rick,
right.
the
There's no
small prick
adults in the
Scott.
room
Is that
anymore.
you were referring
Rick
to Rick the
Scott.
small prick Scott?
Yeah, I call him Floridamort because he looks like Voldemort with more
He
money.
looks like an undertaker at a cheap funeral parlor in freaking Memphis. That's what he looks like.
Do you remember after January 6th, he was one of the first ones to make the pilgrimage down to Mar-a-Lago, and he brought him this like freedom finger bowl, and he presented the still freshly minted insurrectionist. He presented him with a finger bowl of freedom. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is a goddamn cult. Yeah, Skeletor. He does like
Skeletor.
Yeah.
They're all cultish, but I'm the guy who's going to say I'm not real happy with what the Democrats have done in response either. So I would, if I have to hear one more time they're going to send a tersely worded letter to Donald Trump, I'm just going to go, get the he doesn't read. He can't read. Why even bother me? Right now the Democrats should be concentrate. I've said we have two, political parties in this country. One has no heart and one has no head. And no matter how low the Republicans go, the Democrats have a hard time crawling over, that low bar. And I wish they would just spend their time, finding decent candidates. There was the Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, when he went out when he was younger and he was put in charge of finding candidates across the country to run for the House so the Democrats could, take back the House. He said, I didn't go to people going, all right, who's your best Democrat? He said, I went into the districts and said, all right, who's the most popular guy in your district? Is it this car salesman? Is it the guy who's selling it? And I went to them and said, listen, follow. These are what we want you to follow. And you run as a Democrat. We'll support you. And you can have your own thoughts on a lot of issues, but here's our core beliefs. If you can match up with them, we'll support you. And they won because he went looking for the right kind of people that would relate to other people that would talk to other people that were good in front of other people, people's people, but
people who need people
are the luckiest people in the world. La 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 la. Yeah, you're right. So I would like to see the Democrats get off their butt. And the biggest problem they've had is that they haven't really worked their bench strength. They haven't deepened their bench strength, while the Republicans, that's all they are. You knock down one MAGA idiot and there's another one spouting the same nonsense, And then, like you said, Marco, little hands Marco Rubio or whatever you want to call him. He's got more. He wears more hats than a haberdashery. I mean, the man is just completely nuts. He's in charge,
Yeah.
and he's thinking it's going to be him versus JD Vance in 2028. And I keep saying to those people, and look, my contacts in both camps, right? In JD's camp and in Marco Rubio's camp think that they're going to be the guys running for president in 2028. And I keep telling them, you morons, it's going to be Trump if he's alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it's going to be. So get over yourself.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see.
mean, yeah, it is really embarrassing, especially like Marco Rubio has long pissed me off because in 2016 I have a family member who is a Republican, and she and I agreed that it couldn't be Trump, right? Like we aligned on this. And I said, at least with Rubio, he seems sane. He seems like he's actually focused on policy and platform, and he knows what he's talking about. Remember the nuclear triad shit? He
Yeah.
called Trump out on all his bullshit. I mean, he called him a con man. He said he would be selling watches in New York City if he, wasn't born a Trump. And then he turned himself, like so many of them, he turned himself inside out into
He
this
sees an
fucking
opportunity.
yeah.
That's what it is. He sees an opportunity. And as far as selling watches on Times Square, no, Donald Trump is best at that. He's selling gold. Do you want Donald Trump's gold balls? Donald Trump will sell you his golden golf balls for $10. And he's out there. He sends these emails out to his supporters every day. And every member of the White House press corps got dumped into that mailing list during his
Oh
first
God.
administration. And I'm still getting them. And I got one the other day, a personalized Dear Brian, I desperately want to talk to you. I cut
Oh
it out.
yeah.
And then I go, bullshit. If yeah, I want to ask you some questions. Go ahead, Don. Ask anything you want of me. I have a few for you. But he's avoided me like the plague since he's come back
Yeah.
into office. And I don't blame him because he knows damn well I'm going to be one of the few people who will stand up and go, bullshit. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what he is full of bullshit. So you see in a briefing room, you see Donald, they say he's so transparent, but he's not. He's working 3-4 days a week. He's at his golf club. He's meeting someone for dinner. He's not, the Marine that stands outside the Oval Office and lets you know when the president is in the Oval. You routinely doesn't get there till sometimes afternoon, but
Mm,
routinely just before noon, and is often gone by 4 o'clock. So 3 or 4 days a
yeah.
week, he's putting in 4 hours worth of work at the White House. He's God knows what he's doing elsewhere, but I'm telling you, the guy's not right. He's just not right. And
No.
he doesn't want to answer questions. He shows up. He doesn't even do chopper talk anymore. He'll talk to a
Yeah.
small cadre of reporters in the Oval Office or in some other gathering space while, his PEP secretary, who only needs pom poms to sell what to further the sale, stands and then
Hmm.
preaches bullshit in the White House. And
Yeah.
we should not put up with it.
No, and just look at his posture. Just like I was watching
Yes.
the meeting with Ruta yesterday, and he looks like he's melting. Yeah. Like he doesn't even try. Remember, he used to be the handshake, like it used to be the war of the firmer handshake.
Yeah.
Right.
He
And
doesn't
now
even
he's
wear
like
his tie
slumping.
much anymore. He walks out,
No.
he's not wearing his tie. He looks slovenly. He looks like he's been on a 3-day bender. It's like I'm waiting for the Adderall pills to kick out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Like a wino, there'll be a handle of bourbon that'll fall to the floor. Ah.
And his base shellac is migrating further and further from his hairline, and it's like there's now a good like inch of his actual
Well,
flesh.
part of that, this is the funniest part. During his first administration, why he looked so good sometimes is because he had someone in his press office who was, before she worked for him in the press office, was a makeup artist in movies. And
Oh
he
shit!
did his makeup. She's not back. And so whoever they've got to do his makeup, I mean,
The
he
drunk
probably
squirrel.
yeah. Well, or the hypocritical nature of Donald Trump is probably a day laborer from Guatemala. That's
Seriously. He's
Yeah.
asking them about their status as they're applying the shellac.
What's your status? I have the best makeup people, all the best. You know,
Jesus.
meanwhile, Stephen Miller's in the background going, take her, take her, take her, take her. I mean, he's showing, the saddest part of that in covering these floods in Kerrville. I was in Hollywood the day before on July 4th. And through MacArthur Park, and there's a recipe for a cake, and I can't make it anymore. That song. In the actual MacArthur Park in LA, there were ICE agents on horseback and walking in lockstep, scaring and terrifying kids at a day camp. No arrest
Yeah.
made, just a show of force. Meanwhile, the
Yep.
next day I'm in Kerrville and they're trying to hunt for their dead loved ones with the slimmest bit of hope that maybe they're still alive. And Donald Trump doesn't understand that those ICE agents that's the same march I saw them doing is what you do on the countryside when you're looking for bodies. They would have been better off helping out the disaffected and those suffering in Kerrville than they were terrorizing people in a public park in LA. They
And that
don't
and that
get it.
they don't get it and they don't care. And that, by the way, that thing in California was they were filming a propaganda video. It was all a photo. It was a
Yes.
movie shoot. That they were terrorizing those kids cosplaying as fucking like Timu Lord of the Rings to make a fucking propaganda video, like you said, while families were grappling with the fucking unimaginable. And
And
then
I
he says the floods were wet again from the standpoint of water. Like he's a depraved fucking raving lunatic. And Kristi Noem, to your earlier point about Kristi Noem, my
she's a
God,
garden
she's
gnome.
yeah, and she's lying about so much. There's proof that those call centers were defunded for a period of time, and then like most of those calls were going unanswered in the immediate wake of this catastrophe. And she's not exactly lying either, because she'll say, well, it's the state should take the lead, the Texas should take the lead, and then it's called the Federal Emergency Management Agency, you dumb fuck. It's not called the State Emergency
Well,
Management Agency.
you bring up a really good point. My introduction to Hill Country was in 1987, and that was the Comfort flood. 10 teenagers that were in a school bus died in that, and it was horrific. It was almost 38 years to the day later that this current flood occurred in almost the exact same place. And
Oh
the
my
thing
God.
and the thing that bothers me about this the most, I've interviewed parents of dead kids, worked for America's Most Wanted for years. There's nothing worse than having to talk to a parent of a dead kid. The grieving is just unbelievable. But the grieving of not knowing is worse. It's the anticipation, the hope, the slim hope that they might still be alive. And, in the back of your heart, they're not. And these people never get over that. But the state
Mm.
of Texas has a $24 billion surplus today. And in 1987, during the Comfort flood, there was talk of an early warning system the federal, state, and local government were going to pitch in on. It, I think today's estimate would be maybe 50 million to implement it, and these would be warning sirens tied to weather alerts that they still got. And in 38 years, Joe, neither the federal, state, or local government have done a goddamn thing. So Greg Abbott is as much, and the legislature in Texas is as
Yeah.
much to blame as the federal government, as is the local government for not insisting upon it. And as a man who's been kicked out of the White House and the Senate in Texas, let me tell you, those people are reprehensible. There is
Mm.
no reason. We have met the enemy and he is us. Our government failed us, and we keep electing the same morons to office. And I'm watching kids, they're 24 kids that'll never grow up, never have a life, never have a loved one, will never be a parent, will never experience the joys of life because the fucking government failed. And Donald Trump holds responsibility he's the immediate responsibility, his government, the FEMA people are responsible. And by God, they did call. I talked to literally 24 people on the ground who said they called and FEMA didn't answer. This is a microcosm of the failure of our government. It's the reason why we are a failed nation state, and Donald Trump will never take responsibility. Neither will Greg Abbott, who's another
No.
moron of biblical proportions.
Ugh.
He should be boiled in his own peanut oil and forced to live in one of those cabins.
Amen to all of that. And Greg Abbott, let's not forget either, Greg Abbott fought in court to be able to drown migrant children in razor wire in the Rio Grande. This is the kind of shit that Greg Abbott fought for. This is a state where they will let you bleed out if you are miscarrying before they will let you have a DNC, before they will give you an abortion. You have to get to the fucking verge of death, and they'll still look at you and say, I'm sorry, there's still a fetal heartbeat. We can't help you.
Yeah.
Right.
What I like about that is the fact that they claim to be pro-life. They're pro-life until you're born.
Right. Exactly. Because then they won't feed you either. Because in Texas, they won't feed you in school if you're starving. But they'll shove the 10 Commandments down your throat while not following any of them. But speaking of children, my daughter is about to get into my car. So you're about to see that thing open, and she's going to put her softball bag in there and say she's hot. It's going to be a whole thing. So I should probably log off before she does that.
Well,
but I am blessed. I am blessed to have my children. And when you talk about, a parent grappling with the unthinkable, like there she is now. Hi. Yeah,
Hi.
it is unimaginable. Hi, Abby, I'm on a live. So
Wait, can I ask you something?
You can ask
Go
me
ahead,
once
honey,
I end
ask.
What do you want?
Well, I kind of need.
You want to tell all the people, the 900 people watching?
Can you take? Wait, where's Jake?
Oh, sorry, somebody needs a ride home.
No.
What?
Can we run in a little bit, like at 4 or something? Can we take Alyssa and Nina to the pool?
Yes, we can take them to the pool. Okay.
Alyssa will enjoy the pool. Tell her to enjoy herself. It's good to see her. I hope everybody's well.
Okay, I think I should go. Thank you so much, Brian. Thanks everybody for watching.
This is fun.
See you.
Joe, anytime, you got me.
All right, bye guys. We'll see you later. Bye.